Puchicon is back this summer. Show us your best cosplay, go solo, or join a squad. Compete for best of the best. Meet our celebrity guests. Check out our vendors and artists alley. Head over to the arcade for games and much more. August 6th and 7th, Teaneck Marriott at Glen Point.
Hey there, kids. I'm Lloyd Floyd, a hashtag Joker Jedi, and I'm from Fort Lee. Yo, Jersey Posse.
You're known as the man of 1,036 exact voices. How did you?
500 good ones.
Yes. So how did you get that name?
I compiled a list right when I started. I invented Lloyd Floyd when I was 30 in my mom's attic. Until I was 30, I tried unsuccessfully to sing rock and roll. I was a chef before that. I did commercials as a kid, but I compiled a list of all the impressions that I could do. I just sat up there and wrote them all down. When it came out, it was 1,036. So I'd go around with this list to all casting directors and stuff like that. Affleck, and they were trying to find a voice for the Duck after Gilbert Gottfried got fired. Straight up went through the list of 1,036, having to do like 30 voices trying to come up for the Duck, and they couldn't find one at the end of 3 different sessions. And so you'll notice now the Duck is mute. It happened.
Yeah, true story. What are you most known for?
Joker, DC Super Friends, DC Kids, Imaginext. I'm your kid's first Joker. The last one is that Joker from Psyops that you're going to marry. Going to have to schlep all over creation every goddamn holiday to the end of Skywalker for LucasArts, Sony, Disney, and Marvel video games, and Lego, making me the only Joker Jedi besides Mark Hamill himself, just the way it shook out.
Mm-hmm.
Knighted Jedi 4 times by 4 parent companies.
Nice.
And more Rockstar games and more Grand Theft Autos as more characters than any actor.
Let's just some beginnings of your career.
That was when I was a kid. My mom answered an ad in a newspaper. I used to just sing in the house, line up my stuffed animals and do shows and stuff like that. She said, "What am I going to do with this kid?" So she answered an ad in the newspaper for a talent management agency, and I went for an interview, and then I went for an audition, and I booked my first audition ever. It was for a Ground Round commercial. You can still see it on my YouTube channel, the Lloyd Floyd Network, in this playlist, the early years, 10 years old. And I started doing commercials from 5th to 9th grade when I was, doing that. And then at 9th grade, I won my first Battle of the Bands in my high school. And so I immediately stopped doing commercials because I didn't want to be like Corey Haim. I auditioned and didn't get. I got the 3rd round of callbacks. Never Ending Story, The Toy, and Goonies.
Yes.
To this day, I've not watched any of those 3 movies. I watched The Toy, but I've not watched the other 2.
Yeah.
I didn't book them, and it was like 3rd round of auditions. It was heartbreak.
Mm-hmm.
So when I won my first Battle of Bands, I started singing rock and roll, and I didn't get paid for that. Like during the time when I was singing rock and roll, they were hiring bands from Seattle and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So to be from New York, it was like, you stank.
Yeah.
And when I was 30, I was a chef to support myself during this time. I actually won Brooklyn's Best Barbecue Sauce in 1997. I was on the Ford modeling team. They brought me
Fun
to
facts.
So a waiter told me about another audition. It was at the same place where I booked my first audition as a kid, Gray Advertising. Mm-hmm. And I went there, and I asked who does cartoon voices. And I didn't book that one. Paul Camarota gave me the numbers of 2 agencies. And I called the casting director of one as various celebrities until he called me back and he's like, "Who are you?" And I made up the name, Lloyd Floyd. He was like, "I do this." So I started booking. 20th audition, and then it just went up from there.
So you mentioned some type of music background. Like, tell us a little bit about that music background you have and like what kind of music you into.
Well, these days I sing rock and roll. The first thing I ever sang was opera. I had opera when I was like really little, like 8, 9, before I went on the audition for that, for the commercials.
Mm-hmm.
I did 2 operas, La Tosca and Traviata, and then I did a little bit of musical theater. It was Sound of Music, that was Kurt, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't dig those kinds of music, and musical theater is okay, but I don't like musical theater. I like rock and roll. I was in Godspell, oddly. I was cast in Godspell in 2005 with the same director who cast me in my first commercial, Stephen DeAngelis, for that when I was 10 years old. The same guy directed Godspell. So I love rock and roll, and I sing it well, and I can do musical impressions too. So wherever I go, if I can find a band, I jam with them. Like we're in Washington Square Park, there's 2 jams. One happened there, and one happened on the south side of the town. I sing with them all the time. I have a riotous time. And I just got out of the studio with my band Voltron with 2 N's, the Fender, registered trademark of the universe. 5 different lions coming together to form a giant robot. Well, I could sound like 5 different singers like Ozzy Osbourne, David Bowie, Joe Cocker. Rapid succession, 5 songs, 5 different singers. That's the concept of Voltron.
Yep, thanks.
I just got out of the studio with them.
Some people, because they follow Puchicon and they see the celebrity voice actors. So just talk about a little about voice acting over time. Like, what are some pros of it? What are some cons of it?
Voice acting is the best gig in the entire world. Because unlike on camera, where you have to sit in hair and makeup at like 7 in the morning and kill yourself for 1,000 shots and wait until they measure it, all kind of like ill, ridiculous stuff. Labs are magic. That's why they make them. The best thing about voiceover is being able to sleep until noon.
Yep.
Spend more time on your commute than you do in a recording session. You make $64,000 for a half an hour's work. And then, like, the best thing about doing video game voiceover is you get to, and animation really too, but video game voiceover really is the pinnacle. You get to go so far over the top with the performances. Nothing is too big. You don't have to keep it small, at least for the Rockstar stuff that I've done there. Like, GTA's, just everything is packed with a joke that it can be. And especially Rockstar, they let me do a lot of improv, so about a third of the lines you hear in any Rockstar game are my jokes. And that's greatly gratifying to any performer. I strive for the ridiculous so badly, and it's such great fun to do it. And that's why I love voiceover. I used to call myself the laziest man in show. I still am the laziest man in showbiz. Like, he'd work 6 hours and make 6 figures. And at the same time, now the milieu has changed. My eyes were opened by Puchicon itself. I should like to personally thank everybody involved in Puchicon and Tokyo Bronx, by the way, private placement, because they opened my eyes to what I now consider the public outreach branch of voiceover. There's an entirely different side of voiceover, and people are now interested in voice actors, whereas before, you couldn't get arrested. I mean, not me, I got arrested plenty. Always for possession, though. Before, demonic possession was illegal, and every so often, I have packed with the devil and you sing a bit of rock and roll. What do you want me to do?
Speaking about your different voiceovers and that you've done, have you ever voiced more than one character in a scene?
Yes, there are frequently scenes where I talk to myself. So it's much like being with me in my bedroom, except a lot less sexy. Yeah, like there's a lot of scenes in video games where I'm fighting myself. Oh, this is the best. In San Andreas, I'm the house DJ, Hans Overlander, and a pedestrian, so you can listen to me on the radio while you run me over.
Oh, gee.
Somebody got to do that. Let me put that on YouTube and get you a case of beer for that one.
Following you on your platform, I noticed that you cook. So I want to know, like, where did you learn and why did you want to learn to cook?
Well, I got kicked out of high school for writing underground newspapers and exposing their illegal drug testing program. So I didn't have any credentials, and I figured, what will cut down on my cost of living if I worked in a place that made food? It would cut down on that. And cooking is a skill that you can use in New York anywhere. You walk down the street, and in 10 minutes you find a job. In case one place happens to fire you because you show up late a lot. But I learned I bounced from restaurant to restaurant, but I wound up at Martini's on 53rd and 7th, and I got trained by a man named Richard Krause, who you can see if you Google Chef Richard Krause. He's on the CBS Morning Show and on YouTube. That's the guy who trained me. We got 2 stars. That was a place on 53rd and 7th, which is now at Chase Bank, and I've deposited voiceover money there. And that taught me how to cook really well. Like, that was Asian fusion with a California twist, is what they called it. But the best part about learning how to cook is that you do it everywhere, and every meal's a banquet. Like, I'm eating store-bought sushi here, but simply because this is Okiobarankus. Mochi mochi! I have to learn how to do the cheeks right.
Yeah.
So the other great thing about it is, like, I learned how to make sushi. Like, it's all the rice and everything like that. What I spent right there, no way. $5 piece of sushi, like makes $30 or $40 worth of sushi in a restaurant. You're like, oh my God, look at all this. But once you learn how to do it yourself, you can just go ballistic.
Mm-hmm.
I did an Asian cooking secrets panel at the in Camelback, and we couldn't even cook there. We couldn't feed people, but like I brought all these ingredients. I brought half my cabinets with me, and it's great fun. And wait till you see what I do with I'm bringing an antipasto platter with me up to Teaneck from Esposito's Pork Store on 38th Street.
Nice.
Food is king, and like
Yes.
and Asian food in particular.
Do you have any upcoming projects or events that you could tell us that's going on with you?
Oh my God, kids, I'm doing this thing. It's called Puchicon, and it happens to be in Teaneck from the 5th to the 7th.
I can't believe I get to sell my autograph at these things. That's a riot. The thing I just got out of the studio for is Voltron, and we're hoping to do Comic-Cons, like other states' Comic-Cons that are big, that have a stage. They got musical stages at these things. We got a band coming to Teaneck. Like, Voltron's definitely in the works, and we're going to rock places. Other than that, like, and I just got a residual check for the Joker. Like, I do have stuff going on. I record here and there. I did something recently for a video game company, but I'm under a non-disclosure agreement, so I can't talk about that, but I guarantee it's a socially conscious game, and I get to play a socially conscious character, and that I can say, but I can't tell you who it is, but I thank them a whole lot, and I'm writing a lot. Like, one of the things that I want to do now, I have 2 memoirs in the works, and one of the things I definitely want to do is publish, because even though I've done a great deal of voiceover and I'm recognized a lot for it, none of it's words that I myself wrote. And it occurred to me, I mean, at the age of 51, TikTok already, and the only lasting cultural influence that any artist has on the world is the written word. Even Madonna is mocked now oftentimes, and she was the queen of the world before Lady Gaga supplanted her, and so on, and endless, the Buddhists talk about those as apsaras. Those apsaras, those fleeting pagodas and apsaras that you chase after for a little bit. It always keeps you chasing that dragon. Fame is that dragon. But when it comes to literature, dare say there's more people now that read Socrates and Karl Marx than will ever listen to, like, the Beatles. Throughout all of time, a great population listen to the Beatles and stuff like that. Think about through all that time before the Beatles existed, Socrates probably wins amount of times that he's been read and amount of influence that he's had. Even things that we think of as great as the Beatles, quite recent. And all that music, even that music, and that comedy, those stand-ups, all this stuff, those films will get remade, all of this stuff. So the written word is where it's at, and that's what I'm really hoping for.
Yeah.
Is to publish.
Sounds good.
Do look out for it. Rockstar Confidential should be a ripping yarn.
So I wanted to give you this. This is probably the first time we're giving this out.
You wanted to give me something. What is this? Do I have to put on one of my anime ones?
Yes.
It smells good. I want to thank you. What is
So this is just early prototype merch, and also you did mention in Japan
I'm
it's
allergic to this one. I can't.
It's a Japan
Can you
custom.
imagine?
You
You'd be like,
said.
I'm sorry, you know what? I didn't tell you beforehand, but I can't do yogurt, and caffeine triggers my migraine.
Is this? Oh my God! This is a running joke. Now this is a running joke because Puchicon says at other events, they go, we have fruit baskets. Win a fruit basket, and this, that, and the other thing, right? It's just out of to be stupid. I'm like, I want a fruit basket, right? And they're like, Lloyd, it is a digital. I want to be the comic book guy from The Simpsons. Lloyd, it is a digital fruit basket. It's not a real fruit basket. You misunderstand. So I keep going on about it. And like every time it comes, I know it's digital. But I'm like, I want a fruit basket. Really stupid, right? She goes, Lloyd, I want to give you something. What has it got? Because even if you don't eat a fruit basket, nothing makes you feel as good as a fruit basket. Everybody feel better. Everybody feel better with fruit. This is the ambiguously androgynous blind samurai from Princess Robot Bubblegum from GTA. If you know what I'm talking about, I will have pictures of this person. A terribly unwieldy sword that he can't use well anyway because he's blind. Everybody love a fruit basket. And let me tell you something right here. Ooh, it's still cold.
It's still called. You know why? Because you are clever like the Asian. You put in a burap sack. The Americans always are put in a plastic bag. Oh, no, it's not like a plastic bag. You put in a burap sack of fruit to stay cold. You like a cold fruit? I like a cold fruit too.
Oh, glad you like it. So where can they find you? Where can they follow you? And all the other shenanigans you got going on?
I went to a dead show last night. I don't know nothing. You know what I'm saying? That's St. Stephen killed.
Where can you find me? Well, ordinarily, kids, want to tell you, you can find me being good old rock and roll riffraff the south side of this fountain right here. And if there's a bunch of dirty rock and rollers there, we'll try and get you some footage of a song or two. But this is New York's only improv electric jam, and this park only came back and got lit last year because we fucking lit it. Me, the guy Mitch that's in Voltron with me, and you saw him in Fort Lee. You seen Mitch. You girls like Mitch. You seen him in Fort Lee. You're like, what are you dressed as? He's like, rock and roll.
That's funny as shit. He's got star-spangled suede pants on and boots and shit, and these girls are looking at him like, which character? Who is he, Axl Rose? Oh, that's fucking Mitch. Would Axl Rose dye his blonde hair this ridiculous fucking color? No, this is Mitch.
You can find me there singing rock and roll on nice days around 5 o'clock till 10 o'clock p.m. as long as this lasts, because you're not supposed to have electric music in any park in New York City. It's completely illegal. So while this lasts, get that piece of cake. And then you can find me on Instagram. You type in Lloyd space Floyd, and you'll see me. It's my character, poster that I put in shows with all the characters behind me pointing at a Grateful Dead shirt and all that stupid. So follow me on that, and there's a lot of jokes that get posted there. I might not tell you where I am, but I'll tell you where I've been. And there's a whole fantastic thing coming out right soon. Some fan got in touch with me through Instagram, and he goes, "Oh my God, you're Hans Oberlander in GTA San Andreas, and you inspired me to be a techno DJ." And I spin sets, and I put them out on the internet. And I was like, "Can I do a guest set as Hans Oberlander?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure." So he recorded this set, and it kills. I picked 7 songs. I put in just shit from My Life with the Thrill Kill Cult, old goth industrial shit, but he mixed them together. It sounds great. He did his DJ shit on it. So it's all interesting stuff that he does. And I'm going to put in dialogue jokes as Hans from the hotel room at Puchicon and put that out during or after we might put out the next day or something like that. So look, and I'll tell you through Tokyo Bronx, if I may, I'll tell you where you can find that mix. And I listen to it. I don't ordinarily like techno. I like DJ Kiva, Deep, Dark, and Dangerous. And I also like this guy. This guy does stuff that's deep, dark, and dangerous. So that's going to be a dynamite set. I listened to it. I'm like, other than that, I didn't like much techno. I'm like, this shit kills. So keep an eye out for that. And of course, anybody if you're going to Puchicon already, or if you're involved in Tokyo Bronx, or Tokyo, any other borough for that matter, or even if you're Mecha Godzilla, you seek to destroy Tokyo. You know what I'm saying? Because that's fun too. Share this. Tell people. Come on down. See Lloyd Floyd's Livewire. I don't know what other voiceover actors are like. Freaking a half, and I always have been. Everybody in the industry knows it. A lot of fun. I'm not like other voiceover actors. As I'm also a rock and roll musician, we got a couple of guys up here also coming that play rock and roll too. God willing, we'll get a sick jam going at the hotel in Teaneck. Got good stuff coming. And look out for my panel, Joker in his own words. My God, where I tell you why my Joker hates Batman in terms of constitutional law, and if you don't leave hating Batman by the time I'm done, you're gonna be like, I owe you $50. You'll see. I did it in Camelback, and people were horrified. They're like, I can't disagree with you. Oh, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. So come see that. We'll have a lot of fun.